The Colossal Tussle Podcast, episode 10. 10 years in the making. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been 10 years since we've done it. 10 long years. And it is I, the Heartbreak Kid, Big Daddy Cool KJ Johnson, alongside, he oozes machismo. He is the bad guy. I don't have any other nicknames from the time period. Let's see. Hang on. He is the king, the Burger King. Yeah. What are you?
It's just John.
It's just John.
I love how you're both Shawn Michael and fucking Diesel in that.
May as well. And you are Razor Ramon and Jerry the King Lawler, circa 1994. How's it going, man?
That's a good pairing. Just a natural fit.
Could have been tag champs. That's all I'm saying.
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
Beautiful.
Ready to start this old here podcast?
Absolutely.
Double digits?
Double digits.
Mm-hmm.
They said it couldn't be done. They said that we didn't have it in us. Nope. 10 episodes in, and I am super excited for this. Oh, yes. I'm super ready for this one because it is rock bottom. The
bottom of the rock.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've had a lot of time to do some digging, to do some research, doing our short hiatus.
Right. Like 2 weeks, but we're back. We're back,
and we're better than ever.
Back to feed you filthy animals.
Damn straight. Damn hippy skippy. Let's talk about the Raw before Rock Bottom. Let's talk about the Raw leading up to Rock Bottom. I want to get your general blanket feelings about how you felt about this episode. Deep in Attitude Era nostalgia. How did it hit you?
I feel like this was the part of the Attitude Era before it got like very cartoony and very like weird. Because I feel like a lot of people remember the Attitude Era as the piece of shit version that we grew up watching when we like were old enough.
Yeah.
But this was dope. All the theme songs were amazing.
Yep.
The matches were great. The storylines, they were a bit 2000s, but overall fucking dope. The debut of Michael Cole.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
20 plus years later, we will still be still have this motherfucker
to deal with Michael Cole.
But he was entertaining on this episode with the King.
Yes, indeed. And we had the show night storyline of the Outlaws turning corporate. Yeah,
to let you know how 2000 it is, all you had to do was wear a blazer. A blazer and a tie, and you were the most corporate person.
That was it. It was Road Dogg Esquire, Badass Billy Ink.
I didn't like that one. I didn't like the Billy Ink.
Yeah.
But whatever.
There you go. They had to defend their tag team championships against, it was X-Pac and Triple H, and then it was a big old swerve. Oh, yes, the Outlaws were not corporate at all. They did a swerve on Commissioner Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
Yeah. How did you feel about that one?
It was fucking dope, man.
Shawn Michaels.
But I enjoyed, too, the promo, like the first promo they did.
Yes.
Where Shawn Michaels basically telling Triple H, like, hey, I'm co-founder of DX, and he's talking this like just big shit, like poking his chest out and all that shit. Like he was laying it in on them. So then when the swerve happened, it was just beautiful. So cool to just see him get fucking egg on his face, as they say.
It was great stuff. Yes, we had the main event of Austin and Mankind taking on The Rock and The Undertaker.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. What a stacked show. It truly was a stacked show.
I'm not sure if it's nostalgia, if back then people were looking at it and being like, yo, this is a stacked fucking shit. Because I was watching it and it was just, potential Hall of Famer after potential Hall of Famer after potential, like back to fucking back. Like it was crazy.
Yes, and of course it was the go home. It was the
Sorry, just a little
disturbance
in the
background. The go home episode in which the Undertaker crucifies Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
Yes.
That famous scene that I think anytime WWE does a video package for anything, you see that fucking scene.
Yes. He's taken him mind, body, and soul. And the only thing left is to bury him alive. And that is the main event of Rock Bottom.
And sorry, but that also is like, for me at least, is what I like about like those old school wrestling shows, is that like when they got to like a Buried Alive match, a Hell in a Cell match, it's because they've done everything else to each other to get to that point. It's not like now that it's like, oh, you know, it's just, we're gonna put you guys in Hell in a Cell. Like back then, like even looking at the video package for Austin and Taker, it's like, yeah, I can see why you would want to bury this motherfucker alive, like breaking fucking shit on each other. Like it was amazing.
I mean, they've busted each other up with shovels. They've costed each other championship matches.
Exactly.
You know, this has been going on since SummerSlam of 1998 because the main event was Austin versus The Undertaker for the title in that match. So we've got a good 6 months of solid builds. We have a new corporate champion. We have a brand new contender in Mankind who is now turned face, and an epic face at that. There's a lot going into this show. Yes. And so, I mean, without further ado, I think we need to get into this mofo. We need to dissect this piece of business.
Get into this mofo.
And how are we going to do that? We're going to start off with the promo package.
I don't think we have a PG fucking...
All right, fine. Then we're going to start off hot with this motherfucker. Play the clip.
Neither wind, nor rain, nor fire shall deter him.
I will donate your soul to the ministry of darkness.
For he will take unto himself the soul of our brother.
The end is near.
He will commit his body unto the ground.
I will let the entire world watch you burn in hell.
Earth to earth.
I've taken you mind, body, and soul.
Ashes to ashes.
The only thing left is to bury you alive.
Dust to dust.
The end is near.
Silent, alive. The death in hell. The chorus.
There will be no resting in peace now.
And now, Flubber presents WWF Rock Bottom in your house.
It's time for the numbers, John.
Your favorite part of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Time for us to really build our world here. Okay, we're talking December 13th, 1998. Okay, December 13th, 1998.
2 years before my 3rd birthday.
Yeah. And let's talk about it. All right. Listen, for me, I've been really getting into the Attitude Era. Okay. I've been watching the Raws. I've watched Rock Bottom. I've played WWF Attitude.
Just full-blown Attitude Era mode.
All attitude all the time, okay? And this is what it's all about. It's time for the numbers, okay? Rock Bottom, coming to you December 13th, 1998, from the General Motors place in Vancouver, British Columbia! Another Canadian show! Oh, man, support Canada. 17,677 have packed the house for a 0.78 buy rate. That's right, I'm getting decimal numbers now.
Jesus
with 290,000 pay-per-view buys. It is the 3rd lowest pay-per-view of the year. But that is, we're talking about WrestleMania, SummerSlam. They're firing on
brand new pay-per-view as well.
Exactly.
In Canada.
And, however, it is up from last year's In Your House, which was D-Generation X.
Yeah.
And that one got a 0.44 buy rate, so approximately 120,000 buys. So, I mean, business is still a booming.
Yep.
You know, we're almost double, actually. We're over double the pay-per-view buy rate. So let's see how the show fares, Big John. We have Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler on the desk, as we said before. And we're kicking it off with The Rock hyping up his very own show.
Which I think was like a very cool touch to add to this whole fucking thing.
Absolutely.
Having the corporate guy come out and introduce his own show, that was pretty cool.
It was perfect. We're going to be changing the In Your House names to In The Rock's House with such titles as Rock Solid, Rock and Roll, and of course, Laying the Smackdown.
I wonder whatever happened to that name.
No, I wonder. Let's it's tough to find it nowadays, you know. And listen, before we get started, okay, this pay-per-view is brought to you by Glover.
You wanted to talk about this. Yeah.
Now, obviously, you and I have not played Glover. This is a bit before our time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people, maybe some of our listeners, because of our breakdown in the age gap, may have actually played Glover on Nintendo 64. Contact us on Twitter. I legitimately want to know if you played Glover on N64 or PlayStation and what you thought of that game. Colossal Tussle 1
Yes.
on Twitter. I want to hear from you people.
Yeah, because the internet's split right now. Some people think it's fucking amazing. Some people absolutely fucking hate this game.
Yes. Well, at the time period, okay, it was critically acclaimed, okay? The IGN gave it an 8.3 out of 10.
No fucking way.
Absolutely. Edge magazine. This is for the N64, however.
Okay.
The more details to come. But Edge magazine gave it a 7 out of 10. So, I mean, these are pretty good numbers, right? The fall down here came with the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1's release of this, which you would think, being a better generation console, would produce better results. As a matter of fact, it produced terrible results, and that one was critically panned.
Well, I think too. Well, I'm just guessing here because I've never played the game or anything, but maybe when it was in the N64, it was like, it was great for that console.
Maybe.
And then when they moved up to a new console, like, we're not. This isn't the standards.
Maybe.
I don't know, because people, again, they're both sides of the fence here. So if you are out there and have played this game,
you contact us immediately.
Let us know.
I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your feelings. Genuinely.
We will have a Glover review.
Exactly. Because, John, I have the plot synopsis here for us. Okay? So,
Glover?
Of Glover.
Okay.
So if we could cue up the music, please. Let's get really into this. Okay, here we go. You control a glove named Glover. The main objective is to maneuver a ball towards a goal. After all 3 stages and a boss is complete, you get a crystal ball that can be restored back to the castle. The story takes place in a fictional land known as Crystal Kingdom, where a wizard rules from his large castle, known as the Crystal Castle, which is surrounded by 6 portals leading into other worlds. One day, the wizard accidentally mixes the wrong batch of potions in his cauldron, causing a large explosion that turns wizards into a statue and sends his gloves flying. One goes into the cauldron and burns, however, the second glove lands peacefully into the world, and that, my friend, is Glover.
That sounds like an AI came up with that shit. Like, they just put a bunch of random words in an AI and hit enter.
No.
I'm like, yeah, this is the plot now.
No, I'm afraid not, my friend. That is the synopsis for
So
Glover.
the gloves are the wizard's
Gloves, yes.
Gloves. And now they're free.
And yes, and one became sentient.
Oh my god.
Yes, based on my understanding from the Wikipedia.
I'm telling you, the fact that we survived the 2000s is amazing.
No need to worry, because we're deep in 1998 territory with Rock Bottom, and it is presented by Glover. So let's get into match number 1. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It is Val Venus and the Godfather taking on D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry.
Yep.
Val Venus and the Godfather's tag team name, I don't know if it was ever specified, but their tag team name, Supply and Demand.
Yep.
Love it.
Before the match even started, the Godfather came out and was like, "Hey Val, I have a gift for you since it's almost Christmas." And he's like, "I'm gonna give you some hoes."
Yes, the perfect gift.
And but it's also long-term storytelling.
Is it?
Because if you saw the Raw before this, he also gave away some hoes.
He did.
Of course, he's a giver. Keenan. He
a matter
gives.
Of consistency
Come
for
on.
the Christmas season.
Of course.
Yes. Val Venus says that his peen is like butter on a pancake. They both melt in the hot spot. Well.
The big Balboski.
Ladies. Terry and Jackie are out with D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. Terry is pregnant and seems to be looking for a baby daddy, it seems.
Just normal stuff.
It's D'Lo and Val Venus kicking us off with some good wrestling action. Easy going. Spinebuster by Val Venus to D'Lo Brown, and the Godfather gets tagged in, gets the advantage, and loud D'Lo sucks chants.
No. I think they were saying D'Lo rocks.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm afraid it was D'Lo
Are
sucks.
you sure?
Yes.
I'll have to check the tapes.
Okay, well, you go back and check that. Meanwhile, Mark Henry is going to get tagged in, and it's a power slam by Mark Henry. I love the
you mean sexual chocolate?
Yes.
You
pardon
mean
me.
sexual?
Pardon me.
Get
Sexual
his
chocolate.
name right.
Will do. Sexual chocolate. I like the dynamic between D'Lo and Mark Henry, because Mark Henry is extremely, extremely green. Like green as goose shit right now. But he's used quite sparingly, and whenever D'Lo Brown tags in Mark Henry, the dynamic of the match changes every time. And I like that.
Yeah, no, they were a fun, like, again, rewatching the Attitude Era, they were a fun tag team. Yeah,
they were a great tag team. So tag into Val Venus. D'Lo Brown aids Mark Henry with a big splash in the corner. D'Lo Brown gets tagged back in once again, and it's a frog splash, a.k.a. the Sky High, but it misses. Suplex by Val Venus and father to Mark Henry. Yeah, the double suplex there. So I'm skipping a little bit ahead here, because the Hoes and PMS start arguing on the outside.
Yes.
And then Jacqueline slides in and pantses and slaps the ever-loving bejesus out of Val Venus, which is enough for Mark Henry to take control, get the big splash, and a win for D'Lo and Henry.
Yeah, this whole match plus segment were fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time, I'm like, this is the opening match to a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Like, this was crazy. Like, Val Venus coming out and talking about his peen.
Yeah.
Godfather trying to give his hoes away.
Yeah.
The match was decent. It was a good match, but then the afterwards with the hoes arguing with PMS, and then D'Lo and Godfather trying to break it up, and then Val Venus somehow getting pants. I'm like, this is a wild way to start off your paper.
A lot of stuff happening. But I do want to ask, how do you feel about this kind of structure as an opening match? Because like last month we had the Survivor Series, which was the Deadly Games tournament. So not your traditional way of starting things off, you know. But this is like your full-on bread and butter, as with Capital Carnage. We've had like some pure opening opening matchups. How do you feel about these opening matchups as to say, current day where you might get like a Shinsuke versus Sami Zayn that go 20 minutes on a SmackDown?
Yeah. Well, for me at least, that's how I prefer my wrestling shows, with like the opening match being like the actual like really good wrestling match type of thing. Like you get your Shinsuke's versus Sammy's or Ricochet, like the cruiserweights come out and do their thing.
Yes, the cruiserweights in WCW is a perfect example.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I like when a show opens like that, but I'm not against this type of opening every once in a while. I wouldn't like it all the time, like just starting off with like the wildest shit you can probably think of. I feel like it would be better for like the middle of the card when you're starting to get a little bit more bored of like a little bit more tired, of the of the pay-per-view.
Yes.
But it wasn't terrible. Like every now and then when you see it, it's not bad. It's just like I wouldn't want this all the fucking time. Like this was a wild way to start off a show.
A wild way. All right. Well, we're backstage with Doc Hendricks, who is interviewing Triple H and China.
I've always hated that name.
Doc
Hendricks. Yeah. His original name was better. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe Doc Hendricks was cool back in the 90s.
Oh, no, he wasn't. Never. No, he wasn't. They talk about Shawn Michaels, Commissioner Michaels, who we're going to get in depth a bit later on tonight, and the tag team title match, which pits the New Age Outlaws against Ken Shamrock and the Bossman.
This was a terrible promo by Triple H.
It was awful.
Okay, I thought it was just me.
Awful.
It was a terrible fucking promo. Like everyone in there looked awkward as hell.
Yes.
He made a joke about Shawn Michaels needing insured or some shit. One of my least favorite Triple H promos.
Triple H during this time especially is doing a lot of like lame promo shtick.
Yeah.
A lot of like falling short of his potential.
You know what this reminds me of? Of the Roman Reigns. What was that one promo he cut where he's like suffering?
Yeah.
It reminded me of this shit.
It was very much like that. It really was. Recap of Mankind attacking The Rock on Sunday Night Heat. The corporate ribs are hurting, according to Jerry Lawler. Match number 2.
Oh, and basically that whole promo was setting up the fact that if The Rock doesn't compete, Mankind automatically wins the belt.
The world title. It will become all his.
So Vince is like, hey, I'm gonna fix this.
Yes.
I'm gonna go fix it. Yeah.
He needs to fix it. They are advising against it. His corporate team of Patterson and Briscoe, they're saying, "Oh, don't go do this, McMahon. Don't do this. You don't gotta do this, McMahon." And then they're like, "Oh, I'll be able to handle it. No, you don't have to. I can get you a cup of coffee. Do you want a cup of coffee instead, McMahon?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'll take a cup of coffee." And it's like, "Oh, I'll get you a cup of coffee, McMahon."
Someone's gonna beat you up.
I love Gerald Briscoe. Match number 2: the Headbangers versus the Oddities, specifically Golga and Kurgan.
This is all you, because I hate the Oddities.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm all right with the Headbangers. They're decent, but the Odd, there's something about that whole gimmick where it's like, we're so dumb, we're smart. I think we've talked about the same thing with that tag team from the fucking 80s. What's it called? The one that I hate.
Oh, the Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers.
Yes.
Any fucking thing like that, I just can't stand. So I watched the match, but it was just not for me.
Fair enough.
Not for me.
I don't think it's for anybody because the crowd was incredibly quiet. This was a lower card thing just to get people on the show. The crowd was incredibly quiet for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it was for anybody.
And see, when this is your second match, I understand making the first one that Val Venus and Godfather thing.
I mean, I don't have very many notes on the match. I wanted to ask you, do you know who Golga is?
No.
Earthquake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
What was up with that one guy that had the South Park character?
That was Golga.
That was Golga?
Yeah,
That was
Golga
him.
has Cartman.
Yeah.
Who Michael Cole specifically calls Cartman. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have Mosh and Kurgan to start. Kurgan's only 2 moves are the fucking sidewalk slam and a big boot. That's all he's got. So he hits the sidewalk slam terribly, might I add. Okay, the big boot misses, and then Mosh tags out to Thrasher. Okay, another sidewalk slam shortly thereafter by Kurgan. All he's got.
Using his whole playbook.
Seriously. He tags into Golga. Okay, Golga, and the crowd pops for Golga. People like Golga. The elbow, the splash, the leg drop by Golga, the match quality increases, although that's not a very high bar. Kurgan once again gets a moment, which is very upsetting. A double suplex to Kurgan. The crowd light up a little bit for that, but not too much because, they just saw it with Mark Henry in a better match.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Again, Michael Cole mentioning Cartman over and over again.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Michael Cole. I'm sorry. The Golga hot tag, all right, but it's a blind tag to Mosh at this point. Golga thinks that he's got everything in hand, but Mosh with a crossbody off the top rope for a quick pinfall victory. The Headbangers are victorious.
After the match, though, I did notice that one of the Headbangers wanted to fight a member of that was...
Yes, because the man, as soon as Thrasher rolls out of the ring, the guy in the crowd just pushes him, like just fucks him and pushes him. So Thrasher is like,
he was trying to go after him.
For a fight, So then the security has to come take him away, and that's a very good lesson to everybody. Okay, you definitely don't see that too much anymore. It needs mentioning. Don't touch the goddamn wrestlers.
Especially when it's the Headbangers.
Yeah.
Just listen to their fucking names. What do you think was going to happen if you pushed him?
What are you doing with your life? Yes, match number 3. Let's keep her going.
Before the match, we cut to Kevin Kelly.
What do we have?
And his very
Kevin Kelly.
Gorgeous goatee.
Okay.
He just has a stunning goatee.
All right.
And he's talking about Stone Cold and how he was in the arena earlier looking at the graveyard.
Yes.
He was scoping. Spectate. What do you call it?
He was inspecting.
Inspecting. There we go. He was inspecting the graveyard. Then we cut to Vince and his Stooges.
Yes, of course.
That was the coffee part. That's when, That's when they were like,
"Forgive me, I jumped the gun too early."
That's when they were like, "Hey, relax. Well, I'm not gonna do the accent."
What about the coffee? Get your cup of coffee.
So that was the coffee. And then we go to match number 3, Owen Hart versus Steve Blackman.
Canada's own Owen Hart versus Steve Blackman. Owen Hart with a fudging hero's welcome.
Yeah.
He's getting a hero's welcome. It's fantastic. Owen Hart is back out of retirement, temporary and storyline as it may be. The reason that he went into retirement is because he accidentally broke another man's neck again with the same Powell driver maneuver.
Okay.
Yeah, quote unquote. He was brought out of retirement because black men just wouldn't leave him be. The anger is too much. And he's also being accused of being the Blue Blazer.
Yeah. And I think, was it the King or was it Michael Cole that's like, have you ever seen them in the ring at the
for some reason, Michael Cole is the guy that seems to be in the camp of, they can't be the same person. Even though Owen Hart is playing heel. That's the whole idea. But like I said, hey Cole.
But the whole match is like, have you ever seen them in the ring at the same time? And I'm like, that's the point of the fucking disguise.
Well, listen, you've never seen it. Okay? You prove it.
And as soon as Steve Blackman gets in the ring,
Yes.
Owen just starts laying it on him.
Indeed. It's a hot start, but a spin kick quickly takes down Owen Hart in a clothesline
Very
over the
quickly.
top. Yes. A knockdown on the ramp, Blackman taken out. Owen Hart, excuse me. Blackman is in control for a little bit, but then a gorgeous enziguri by Owen Hart to Steve Blackman. Good God, it was sexy. Yes. Going to the top rope does Owen Hart, but Blackman with the foot up and catches Owen Hart off guard. A stiff baseball slide as well by Steve Blackman to Owen Hart. Owen Hart's head smacking off the off the floor there. A spin heel kick by Owen Hart out of nowhere.
I liked that combo that he did with the atomic drop and then the spinning heel kick.
Yeah, exactly.
I really enjoyed that
It's
one.
a great start. The excellent back and forth. Nobody is really maintaining any significant control.
No.
They're having a fantastic match. Owen Hart with a crossbody, but it is a roll through with a near fall. Owen is quick with yet another gorgeous enziguri. So nice. He's playing it twice. Owen Hart exposes the turnbuckle, goes for the Irish whip, but it is reversed by Blackman. Owen Hart takes it sternum first.
He's a Hart. That's how they do it.
That's how they do it. Good Lord. A drop kick by Steve Blackman to follow that up, but Owen Hart is able to quickly transition into a dragon sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then and then a DDT shortly thereafter once Blackman gets out, and Owen Hart gives a thumbs up. Just a hearty thumbs up. All right? Like a beautiful, fantastic. A horrible sharpshooter by Steve Blackman.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't awful. The twist was wrong. The legs were wrapped around incorrectly. Oh, it was just awful. But unfortunately, once Owen Hart gets out of the sharpshooter, he goes walking up the ramp. There's a little bit of brawling, but Blackman rolls back in.
Yeah, he notices the count.
Out victory for Steve Blackman. I was thoroughly disappointed in that because I freaking loved this match.
Listen, you can't get your hopes up in the Attitude Era. This was me with our last pay-per-view where there was so many matches that I enjoyed, and they were just like, "No, we're not gonna finish this." But I guess it made sense because Owen's the heel, but he's also from Canada, so if he did get the pin, he would get a huge pop, and if you make Steve pin him, who's supposed to be the babyface, he was going to get booed. So
this is true.
This was the only way to do it,
I guess.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, great match. Despite the finish, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Still, backstage, Mr. McMahon finds Mankind's office.
Yeah,
which is a little linen closet under the stairs.
And then you see Vince crouching down to get into this little small ass door.
Yeah, very good. I'm loving this showline story.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
So he's basically he's sitting down with Mankind, trying to convince Mankind to drop the stipulation of if The Rock doesn't show up, he gets the belt, right?
Exactly. Yes.
But they close the door. We don't get to hear what's being said.
Not yet, because we cut into match number 4, which is the Job Squad of Bob Holly, Al Snow, and Two Cold Scorpio versus the Brood.
And to be fair, I love this match. I love every competitor in this match.
Right.
Great fucking match.
Excellent, because in the interest of sharing the load,
we have to find a new way to introduce the segment.
All right, fine. Boom, 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 boom. Sharing the load. Boom, 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 boom. In the interest of sharing the load, Just John, take us through.
You said sharing the load 3 fucking times. First thing before I even start with the match, I just want to point out, I don't think I've ever seen Two Cold Scorpio young.
Yeah. Every
time I see him, he somehow gets older.
Yeah, he's an old looking dude. He's an old looking guy.
So the Job Squad,
yes,
they take control right away. Because one thing I didn't know about the Brood is that in this time they were like brand new still.
Yes.
Like they were like brand spanking new.
Indeed.
Like,
yeah, they were in their infancy.
Yeah, because when they would come out with the entrance and spitting blood, I thought that was when they were more established.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, like that's how they were when they first started.
Yes.
So the Job Squad, they take control of the match at the beginning, back and forth. It was basically the sidekicks at first. So Too Cold Scorpio, Bob Holly.
Yes.
Versus Edge and Christian at the beginning. Then the leaders, Al Snow and Gangrel, they get into it. And I like what they did here because it really made Al Snow and Gangrel feel like the leaders of the match.
Right.
Like, I don't like it's amazing how they did that, because even though this is a mid-card match, you can feel like, okay, when Gangrel and Al Snow came in the ring, you could be like, okay, these are like the top guys
of the Brood and the Job Squad.
Yeah, like so that was really dope to see.
Yeah.
And like immediately the action picks up right away, like from the moment that happened.
Gotcha.
After some back and forth, Gangrel hits Al Snow with a fucking just sick looking DDT. Like again, I know it's the Attitude Era, but some of the shots that these guys,
they're stiff.
They're stiff as fuck.
It's great stuff.
Like, people complain now about wrestlers being stiff. Back then,
Michael Cole even mentions ECW at one point because
Yeah.
you have all of these ECW alums in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still doing the whole, ECW. Like, the King was still
Yes.
like very anti
oh.
ECW.
ECW now.
So every time Michael Cole mentioned ECW, the King would just be like in disgust.
Yes.
He would just be like, "Oh, I can't believe you just mentioned." So after the Brood, they gang up on Al Snow. Edge then comes in and he has a little back and forth with Al Snow. Al Snow hits an Enziguri. Edge puts him in a little like ankle lock type of thing.
Nice.
Then they both tag out. Al Snow tags in Too Cold Scorpio. Edge tags in Christian. Then it's this huge brawl. They start brawling all over the ring as the ref was distracted with Al Snow.
I will say that I was like really impressed with Too Cold Scorpio during like most of this entire match. Like it was quite, I don't know, like there's something, because I didn't enjoy this match by any means necessary. I truly didn't. I didn't enjoy this match, quite frankly. But I like the Brood. I like Al Snow. I don't care about Bob Holly. But I find myself, because I've not watched any ECW stuff, so eventually we're going to have to explore ECW.
I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, we're going to have to explore that at some point. But my thing is that, like, I'm having a little bit of doses with Too Cold Scorpio, and I am enjoying what I'm seeing.
That's because he's fucking amazing.
I
even
had
like,
no idea.
Yeah, no, even like if you watch his GCW stuff now, that he's an old man, he's still putting out like great fucking matches.
Yes.
And even in this match, like basically at the end of it, he hits Christian with a 360 leg drop.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Filthy.
I don't think I've ever seen that. But Edge breaks up the pin. Edge then dives to the outside and wipes everyone out, and Christian takes advantage and pins Scorpio for the win.
Yeah, with the Unprettier, I do believe.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think
it wasn't called the Unprettier at the time, but yeah.
I hate that's the name that's stuck. The
Absolutely.
Unfucking Prettier.
Unprettier. Yeah, so you really enjoyed that match.
I love this match, but that's because I love all of them individually. And this was to me this was an awesome match. Too Cold Scorpion was amazing. Bob Holly was there. Al Snow was amazing. Edge, Christian, everything, the intros, I loved everything about this match.
I thought it was a perfectly fine 6-man tag, but it didn't blow me away. But I will say I was really enjoying the show up to this point. Like, I was having a really great time so far. So, yes. Do we go backstage, John?
We go back to Vince and Mankind. And they're still talking.
Yeah, they're still having a chat.
And Vince looks insanely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love that he's sitting on the floor with him at this point. Love it. And he's asking specifically, like, can we not go somewhere else? Can we go somewhere else to talk about this? Love it.
Then it's our fourth match. Fifth match.
It's
Holy
our fifth
shit,
one.
we're running through these.
Firing through it, baby.
And it's Double J, Jeff Jarrett versus Goldust
in a strip-tease match.
Yep. So if Goldust wins, Deborah has to strip. If Jeff Jarrett wins, Goldust has to strip.
Yeah, the stakes could not be higher. Yes.
And we're gonna get into it a little bit further in, but there's a moment that is just fucking amazing.
Absolutely. It gets into very Memphis wrestling territory, very Southern wrestling, and I love it. So Jerry Lawler kicks it off first by saying to Michael Cole, have you ever seen a woman strip? You know, one that you didn't have to inflate? Fantastic.
WWE has this thing where they always have to have one person who's gonna get shit on the whole fucking thing.
And who better than Michael Cole as far as I'm concerned?
Yep.
Who better than that? Yes, it's great because Jerry Lawler, who is the out and out heel all the time, side with the heel performers every time. He says, but this one match, this one time, Jeff, it won't ruin your career to lose just one. I can't root for Jeff Jarrett in this match.
Listen, this was so wild because Jerry was rooting for Goldust.
Yes.
And you can even, when the pinfalls were happening, you could hear the crowd.
Every time they're like, oh, whoa! Like, they are so into the near falls.
Every time Jeff Jarrett would almost get a near fall, you could just hear the crowd going like, "Oh my god, no.
Could this be it? Could it be?" It's awesome because there's a cross body at one point that is rolled through by Jeff Jarrett, and there's a near fall, and the crowd is like, "Oh my god!" A drop kick by Jeff Jarrett gets a near fall and a big roar. It's awesome.
This is the most reactions Jeff Jarrett has ever gotten in any of his matches.
Exactly. A sleeper hold by Jeff Jarrett gets locked in, but Goldust is able to reverse it into a back suplex to a near fall. A curtain call, but the referee is distracted. Goldust goes for his classic drop down uppercut maneuver.
I hate that move.
Oh, come on.
I hate that. Cody does it all the time
it's
too.
Vintage.
It's not.
Oh,
it's
my
terrible.
Goodness. Wow. Well, the Bulldog gets a near
you hated
fall.
the Job Squad. I hate this.
I never said hate.
I hate this movie.
All right, the Shattered Dreams is set up. Okay, the Shattered Dreams is set up. Deborah comes in to try and distract, but it ends up backfiring as the Shattered Dreams is hit. But the referee is still distracted in this case. Deborah grabs the guitar, and it is the loudest guitar shot I've ever heard in my life. There's debris everywhere, but Jeff Jarrett is able to come on in and get himself the victory.
And you can see the crowd die inside.
Absolutely.
That crowd looked like the fucking Undertaker's streak, and then, they were heartbroken.
I mean, wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be? But never fear. No, Commissioner HBK is here.
He comes out and he tells Jeff Jarrett to go to the back.
Yeah.
Great.
You earned yourself a great victory.
Go take a shower. You did it.
You did
as soon as Jeff Jarrett leaves, he basically tells Deborah, hey, you cheated. And because you cheated, I'm reversing the decision. Not I'm going to restart the match. I'm just going to reverse the decision. Goldust wins. Deborah has to strip.
Absolutely.
To a huge fucking pop. This crowd was horny as hell.
Shawn Michaels says, quit your grinning and drop your linen. And Deborah, who fought the entire match to ensure that she did not have to strip,
had a fucking
great
blast.
time.
She was
taking off her blouse first, and she's like, "Yeah, come on, let me hear it. You want me to drop off my clothes, right?" And so, the crowd is all there for it. Cole says, "You go, girlfriend." I hate Michael Cole.
What was that? I remember hearing that, and like my brain was like, "Nah, there's no way he possibly said that."
Yeah, you did. He did. He enjoyed it. Shawn Michaels takes out a roll of money.
Yeah.
Takes out $100 bill, I believe. Puts it in between Deborah's breasts. Deborah awkwardly gives it back. Like, I am not a prostitute.
No,
I
may
not
be
a stripper.
I may be taking my clothes off in front of a crowd, but I am not a stripper.
No, so you may have that back, sir.
Yeah, go talk to the Godfather.
Yeah, this is a matter of respect. So she gets down to her bra and her panties and is willing to take off the bra next.
Yeah.
Until the Blue Blazer arrives.
Yeah, because we go backstage and Jeff Jarrett's looking in horror.
Yes, he's freaking
like,
out.
"Oh my god, I can't believe they did this."
Yeah.
And behind him, you just see the Blue Blazer just running out.
Yes, yeah. He runs politically correct. He runs out, puts his cape,
some clothes on.
Yeah, puts his cape over her as she's about to defrock her bananas. Not her bananas, her melons.
He got the fruits.
Her cantaloupes.
He got the fruits.
Yeah, yes, I did. And listen, I was having my banana. Gross.
Listen.
Yes, the Blazers there. Jeff Jarrett comes back out. They escort Deborah away before we can have the tatas exposed.
Yeah. I don't find Deborah that attractive.
No.
But apparently the Vancouver, she was like a top tier.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the thing is that because like they have no women on display. Okay? Sable, as you can tell, nowhere to be seen.
No.
Since Survivor Series, the women's champion gone. Terry and Jacqueline are both heels. Yes, they're hot, but they're both heels, so you're not really supposed to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Deborah seems like a reluctant heel at best. Because Jeff Jarrett is like this overbearing, overly masculine man, and Deborah is kind of like the damsel in distress, if you will.
Yeah.
Like I really want to be a whore, but this guy is telling me no.
So it's like, I'm going to fight to not strip. But since you guys are making me,
if I have to, right? So she seems like the one that's really like, oh, this is the one that we can latch our horses to.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then after all that horniness, we go back to Mankind's office.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about this. You say what happens, okay? You say what happens, because it is brief.
Yeah, so I just have Vince leaving the office with a smile on his face.
That's right, yeah. Vince leaves Mankind's office.
Yeah.
So Mankind is supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
Mankind leaving the office, smile on his face.
Yeah.
He's negotiated a good deal, right?
Okay.
Yeah. He's walking down the corridor. And if you look just beyond Vince, it's only for just like a second and a half. I see down the corridor Mankind and The Rock. Mankind and The Rock talking to each other. Mankind and The Rock talking to each other with what looks to be about their match. Wait a minute, but Mankind and The Rock are supposed to be fighting. Wait a minute, but Mankind and The Rock are supposed to be good guys and bad guys. Is wrestling not real, John?
Listen. No comment. I did not notice that.
Yeah, you need to go back and take a look at that because it's for about a second and a half
Yeah, because that whole
Then cut.
segment was like
It
a
took no
couple
time
seconds.
at all.
Yeah,
Took no time at all. But I, with my mongoose eyes, you
saw them having a chat.
I did.
Oh,
I saw them having a chat down the corridor. And what's funny is that as Vince McMahon is walking, The Rock turns and looks at Vince and sees that the camera's behind him, and they must have like cut right away because somebody must have been like, shit.
And I'm glad you went in that direction, because for a second I thought you had like some crazy ass conspiracy, and I'm like, where the fuck is he going with this? I'm like, what conspiracy might he have?
Kayfabe, brother.
Okay.
Kayfabe.
Listen, that died years ago.
It was a delicious botch, and I enjoyed it.
That died years ago.
Yes, I enjoyed it so. So match number 6. The tag team championships are on the line as the New Age Outlaws. Sucker! Yeah, taking on the Big Bossy Man and Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
Corporate Michaels. Corporate Shawn Michaels. We're having a double dose of him right now because he's accompanying Ken Shamrock and Big Boss Man to the ring. It's weird to see. It's weird to see Commissioner Michaels. It's weird to see a corporate Shawn Michaels.
But he plays the role so well, though.
He plays it beautifully,
he plays
especially
it
in this
great.
match.
Yeah.
Especially in this match. But it was just so odd to see. To see Shawn Michaels in a suit and tie.
Yeah, at first, but then like when I watched the Raw before this and this, like he plays it so well that you're just like, oh, okay,
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock and the Boss Man are getting quite the push at this time because, as we know, Big Boss Man is currently the Hardcore Champion.
Yeah. Well, they're part of the corporation, right? So
yes, and Ken Shamrock is still the Intercontinental Champion, and they are now going after the Tag Team Championships. Yes.
Wait, did Ken come out with the Intercontinental Championship?
Ken?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Shamrock and the Road Dogs started off with good wrestling things as usual. Big Boss Man and Billy Gunn have their hard time working together at the moment as they get in there and try to tie up and do some things. They kind of fuck up, but they save it. They save it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A double backdrop by the Outlaws send the heels powdering. Road Dogg with a shuffle and the elbow, a little bit of the shake, rattle, and roll, you know? Beautiful stuff. Hell of a hip toss by Shamrock to Billy Gunn. Yep, okay. Get some real air in that one. And then I have a look away from a television screen. I have a little sip of water. I come back, and things have changed, and all of a sudden it's a Faymaster by Billy Gunn.
Wait, how long was that?
And it was like 4 seconds. I don't know, man. And then it's Ken Shamrock with a belly to belly. Like, things are just flying by at a great pace. Splash in the corner by Big Boss Man, who was tagged in. Ground and pound control on the Road Dogg. And here is where Road Dogg gets, like, worn down exponentially throughout this match.
Yeah, because like most New Age Outlaw matches, he's the one that takes the big beatings before, you know, Mr. Ass comes in and takes
big hot tag. Yes.
Yeah.
Because Shamrock gets tagged in, continues the attack, you know, slide out attack by Billy
and Shawn
Gunn,
Michael the whole time is just walking around the ring with the nightstick.
Yeah, he's got the nightstick. He's doing excellent heel work at this moment, you know, like he's poking Road Dogg. He's trying to see if he's still alive. He kisses him on the forehead at one point. He's like, oh, Road Dogg, I'm so Bill Dog. Billy Gunn has had enough. Screams, "You suck!" at the top of his lungs at one point. Gets a pop there. Boss Man gets backdropped over the top rope by the Road Dogg. But Road Dogg is still in no man's land. He's in the heel corner on the outside. He's getting triple teamed. It's like a 3-on-1. It's an assault. My God.
Listen, it's a corporation.
Yes, it's fantastic.
They can do whatever they want.
Yes, but finally, after maybe a good solid 6, 7, 8 minutes of just wearing on the Bulldog, on Road Dogg, he gets a hot tag to Billy Gunn, who is a house of motherfudging fire. Yes, but it is quickly cut short as a Hurricane Rana attempt is turned into a powerbomb. Yes.
After a while, Billy Gunn, he goes for the pin,
Yes.
but Shawn Michaels pulls the ref out. Billy Gunn then goes to for a suplex.
Mhm.
Shawn holds onto his ankle,
Yes.
and Ken drops on top of him.
Yeah.
Which I always hate that spot, but you know,
And that looks to be the end.
yeah.
Yes. Looks to be the end, but it turns out no, sir. As HBK tries to cost them the match again, Billy switches it up, rolls them up, and retains the tag team titles. I found that to be a bit of a weird finish.
It was super fucking weird.
It was
like
weird.
the second that they did the suplex spot where Ken falls on top of Billy Gunn,
Mm-hmm.
like I've never been a fan of that spot, so I was like, all right, here comes some shenanigans.
Yes.
But then, like, almost immediately, Billy Gunn reverses it, rolls him up, and it's just like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's very weird.
Yeah.
The New Age Outlaws have done this a couple of times now.
Yeah,
Survivor Series,
we've
they had a
reviewed it.
flash
Yeah,
finish, and Capital Car. Like, it's just been weird.
Yeah, sometimes it works, but sorry, Loud House Cars. Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Like a flash finish sometimes is just what a match needs.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with the New Age Outlaws, they do it too much, and then sometimes you're just like, was it a botch?
Yeah.
Was it meant to happen?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because it did look a little sloppy.
Yeah,
It did
yeah.
look sloppy.
But then it's like, is that like a legit botch, or is the move just a slot? Like, did they just perform it sloppily?
Yeah, you know? And I think in this case it was the latter. Just sloppy nonsense.
Yeah, and then Shawn Michaels is in the ring and he's kicking and screaming. He's like, gosh darn it.
Gosh diddly darn it. How could this have happened? Match number 7. For the WWF Championship, it is The Rock defending his championship against Mankind.
Yep.
As The Rock comes out, I realize that the people still don't really seem to be willing to boo The Rock just yet, because he gets a pretty positive reaction overall.
Yeah, because he's like one of the most popular people in the company. Like, you can't just turn him heel and expect everyone to just be like, oh, okay.
Like, he's so cool.
It's like the whole Becky Lynch thing going on right now, where it's like, it doesn't matter what unless you make them like punt a baby.
Yes.
They're not gonna fucking boo these people.
Yes. Yeah, so they're in the ring, and it seems like the contract will be, destroyed, and it'll be ruled a no contest if Mr. McMahon says that Mankind did not say I quit.
On his knees.
Yeah.
Mankind came down with the piece of paper, ready to tear it up, and he's like, hey, all you have to do is say I didn't quit.
Yeah.
On your knees.
Like, he wants Mr. McMahon on his knees.
Because the funny part about that though is that Vince was willing to say it. He was like, oh, that's it? Sure, I'll say it. And then he just added that little, he's like, get on your knees, Vince. And Vince was like, wait, whoa, what?
Wait a minute.
What the fuck?
Wait a minute.
So seeing Vince's reaction to that was fucking hilarious, because he was totally on board. He's like, yeah, that's totally doable. I can say that.
Yeah, I won't mean it, but I'll say it.
And then he's like, no. On your knees. You could just see Vince's face just he's like, no.
God, no, I won't do that. And so Vince says, that he might not have heard it himself.
Yeah.
But The Rock says that you said I quit, and that's damn well good enough for me.
And he was getting, like, he was progressively getting angrier and angrier as he was, like, saying it, because he's like, maybe you didn't say it like that, but you know what? And like, he just kept getting angry to the point he's like, The Rock said it, and that's good enough for me, god damn it.
And therefore Mankind rips up the contract and throws it up in the air, and that's it. The Rock with a blind-sided attack, and we are on.
Yep. We got The Rock hits him from the back, but Mankind reverses it, starts fucking wailing on The Rock.
Yep. The Rock gets tossed into the steel steps. Mankind then uses the steel steps on The Rock. Lax rules tonight, it seems. But then as soon as I say that, as Mankind continues to beat on that Rock ass, Vince McMahon grabs the microphone and says, "You will DQ this man if he does anything else like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you must DQ this man."
He basically
enforces the DQ rule.
He gave the power to the ref to DQ him, not only for that, but anything that he might deem an act that's too aggressive.
Yeah,
he could just DQ him whenever he wants.
Yeah, and Michael Cole says, "What are you doing? You're making up the rules as you go along." Like, no, he's not. DQ is a rule in a WWE Championship match. He's just enforcing it. But whatever. The Rock takes control. Choke with the cord, suplex on the floor by The Rock. My goodness. But back into the ring, Mankind hits a baseball slide on The Rock. Unbelievable.
Yep. The Rock is leaning on the announce table. Mankind's about to go up to take the splash.
Yes.
Shane holds on to his foot.
Yes.
And gives The Rock time to go up there and just fucking
pulls him. Good Lord. He pulls him off the second turnbuckle.
Why does he go so hard against Mankind?
Yeah, because Mankind thuds. Like, it's a thud, a gross, dirty thud onto the outside.
The Rock had to have something against Mankind.
I don't know. I don't know, because this is what Mankind does. Mankind puts himself through this shit.
But I feel like The Rock always took it like that extra.
He did. He didn't hold back.
It's like Mankind was like, gave him a green light, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. The Rock gets on the announce headset and starts talking some smack.
Yep.
Fantastic, always entertaining, always funny.
He spits water in Mankind's face.
Yes, he does, and then Mankind fights back, starts brawling onto the announce table. One thing is that Jerry the King Lawler is like, "Can I get a half out on that?" And The Rock says, "No, I'll give you a smack across the lips." And that's when Mankind takes a bit of control. A DDT on the chair outside.
Yeah, because Mankind was going to use the chair, but because Vince is like, "Hey, this is a no DQ match.
You'll get disqualified."
Because this is just a normal...
disqualified.
Like, I've never said this was a hardcore match. So the ref stops Mankind from using the chair.
Yes.
But The Rock reverses it and gives him a DDT on the chair.
Yes, indeed. Back into the ring. We get the corporate elbow.
Yep.
Yes, but it's a near fall. Unbelievable stuff.
It's just the elbow drop.
It was, yes, just an elbow drop, but it's the corporate elbow. It's no longer the people's elbow, it's the corporate elbow. And it's no longer the people's eyebrow, it's the corporate eyebrow. Get it right, man.
One side's the people, one side's the corporate.
Yes, Mankind is fighting back now. It's a clothesline and a near fall, a leg drop and a near fall. Mankind is putting everything on it. But Vince McMahon is saying, DQ this man.
Yeah.
DQ this man for excessive roughness. And so Mankind's response to this was to pile drive Mikey Oda.
He power drives the ref, and then he goes and beats up the timekeeper.
Beats down the timekeeper.
To make sure that no one can stop this fucking match.
No one's going to ring this bell.
He's chasing after Vince, but The Rock hits him with a steel chair.
Yes. And then quickly follows up with the Rock Bottom. Back into the ring, but there is no referee. So Shane McMahon comes up with the brilliant idea to bring in the belt. As The Rock holds up Mankind, but Mankind ducks and Shane McMahon nails The Rock. And now we have a replacement referee as Mankind gets the cover, but it's a near fall.
That ref came out of nowhere. I didn't see him run or anything.
My God, the crowd is freaking wild at this point. A double arm DDT, Mankind signature, but still a near fall. Socko is out and locked in on The Rock, who passes out. The bell rings.
But in comes Vince, and he gets on the mic and says, "You can only win by pinfall or submission." And since Rock didn't tap,
he didn't say, "I quit." Very important. He did not say, "I quit" either.
Is still champ.
Yes. Yeah. Mankind then gives the mandible claw to Vince McMahon. Then gives it to Shane. Mankind is assaulting the corporate team until Ken Shamrock and the Big Boss Man come out and attack. I was thinking that the DX were going to make a save, but apparently not.
No.
Nope. The Rock just stands tall.
Because it's weird, because this feud feels like it also involves DX, but they never really put DX in the... I'm not sure if later on they will.
Yeah.
But for right now, as we're watching it like live,
yeah,
it always seems like they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out with DX and this feud.
They're definitely they're creeping in. Like they're creeping them in our next episode that we're gonna do.
Yeah,
they're gonna be featured quite heavily. Yeah. Yes, but it is time for the main event. It's odd that The Rock is not the main event of his own show.
Yeah, but it's like, but that's what happens when you book yourself into a corner. Like when you book a buried alive match, you can't really put anything else after that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. But yes, it is the main event. It is the buried alive match with Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on the Undertaker. Austin's spot in the Royal Rumble is on the line. You know, because if he gets buried alive, he's dead, presumably.
Holy fuck. How come I've never thought of that?
Yeah. Makes you think, doesn't it?
I've never thought of that. Yeah. Of course it's for his fucking spot. He's gonna die. Okay. All right. This is why you're here.
This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here, man. The Undertaker comes out first.
Oh my god. That's funny as fuck.
Yeah, the Undertaker comes out first, and I will never not be sucked into an Undertaker entrance.
Yeah.
Okay? Even when I know that the match might not be particularly great. Anytime that the Undertaker is coming out, I'm sucked right in.
When you hear that, keep rolling.
They meet at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, wasting no time.
Yeah, the Undertaker and Austin. It's a staple. That's how they pretty much start off any match that they've ever had. This match, as Michael Cole says, is not for careers, but for lives.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
There's one thing that happens throughout this whole fucking match. I'm not sure if you caught it, but for some reason, Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler, every 5 minutes, they'll look at each other and just be like, "Hey, King, can you imagine if your life was on the line?" Or like something in that sense. And the King will be like, "No, because why would I imagine that?" And then some time will go by, and then the King will look at Michael Cole and be like, "Michael Cole, can you imagine someone trying to bury you alive?" And I'm not sure if you noticed that, but they did that like 4 fucking times.
Yes.
And that was driving me crazy. Every 5 minutes, I'll be like, "Can you imagine someone's trying to kill you?" And then if they had a proper dialogue, whatever, but their answer was always like, "No, I couldn't imagine that."
Yeah.
But they would keep asking the same fucking question.
So the thing about this match is that when I went into this, I knew that it was going to be a match predominantly of punches and kicks.
Yeah.
Go over here, punch and kick. Go over here, punch and kick.
Yeah. So
I was like, okay, that's on paper, that sounds really fucking boring. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so let me analyze this, because buried alive matches, Austin, Undertaker, kind of limited in what they can do. Austin is not willing to do anything, head worthy and neck. Yeah. So he's more of a brawler. So I was like, okay, so let's talk about the psychology of this match, because trying to do like a blow by blow that we usually do doesn't make any sense in this case.
Because I was struggling to find points, because mostly punch, kick. Yeah.
Head into guardrail, fight on the dirt.
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, the psychology of this match is the big brawler versus the small brawler. That's what I considered.
Yeah.
And so when I went into that mindset, I started looking at the match quite differently. And I noticed that whenever Stone Cold Steve Austin is trying to get the advantage, he's working a body part, he's doing all that typical stuff.
Yeah.
But he's also using the environment to his advantage. So whenever he uses a weapon of some sort, it's in order to chip away at the Undertaker. So like he'll use the steel post, like he drives him into the, you know, in the peen into the steps, works the leg off the post and all of that stuff, right? Meanwhile, the Undertaker, whenever he uses any type of environmental thing, it's to just issue damage. So it's just used as a heel type maneuver. So he uses the guardrail and choking him with the guardrail and all that stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay. So there is like a psychology to this punch and kick mentality because Austin is using it to wear down the big man while the big man is just using it to inflict damage.
Yeah, and that's why wrestling is so interesting, especially when you start getting into the different styles, right? I feel like nowadays wrestling is more like you should be able to do all styles. Like if you look at wrestling now, like you should be able to do high flying moves, you should be able to do brawler, you should be able to do technician, everything. But back in the days, you picked one thing and that was your thing. So like when two brawlers were going at it, they had, you know, their own mentality that they would go into. If you were a mid-carder, if you were an opener, if you were a high flyer and all that shit, right? So it's always interesting. That's why I love 80s wrestling. That's why I love early 90s wrestling, because there was a deeper match within the match, right?
Exactly.
Instead of like today's type of thing where it's like you should be able to do all of these things. So it's always interesting as well when you get to see two guys that use the same style going up against each other.
Yeah, it made the match a lot more enjoyable for me because I was looking at it from a psychology standpoint, not from a match quality standpoint. Because as we say, it's punches and kicks, it's using a couple of weapons here and there, it's choking, it's not spectacular by any means, but this idea of trying to chop down the big man and trying to fight for your life by using anything and by any means necessary made for a much more interesting situation here.
And the thing too with this match is like I feel like they had to work like extra hard to win over the fans because if you follow wrestling even the slightest, you know Stone Cold's winning this match. Because he's not a wizard. He's not a
dead man.
He's not a dead man. So if he does get put in the grave, how do you write around that, right? So Taker has to lose. And I'm pretty sure everyone coming into this pay-per-view
realizes this.
That so, you know, they had to go that extra mile with their punches and kicks and being like, you know, we actually have to put on a semi-decent match to get people at least be like, hey, we saw a good match. Which I think they did.
Yes, I believe they did. At one point, The Undertaker and Austin are battling on the announce table. In the announce table area by the Spanish team. The Spanish team, they need to run, but they're trapped like rats. Is that racist?
Jesus Christ.
I don't know, but up at the grave at one point, because there's a choke slam in the ring, there's a chair shot, and then the Undertaker dragging Austin over to the grave site. They're both in the grave. They're both trying to pull each other into the grave. They're fighting around back and forth.
And even that grave sequence was the way they set that whole thing up, like the fighting. And I thought I was going to hate that part. But it was pretty cool.
It was compelling. It was compelling stuff. It was keeping my interest enough. Right? So it was good. I liked it. They were up there. Austin eventually hits the stunner on The Undertaker and stuns him into the grave. Fantastic. But then Austin starts, he's got like a two-wheeler, like a wheelbarrow, and he puts some dirt in there. But it's not enough. It's not enough to bury The Undertaker. Austin realizes this. So he takes off to the back. He disappears. The Undertaker, you don't seem too pleased by what's coming up next.
This whole part I was annoying as shit.
The Undertaker gets out of the grave
Mm-hmm.
and manages, like, he's going for like a sneak attack of some sort. He like hides beyond the dirt with a shovel, getting ready. And then all of a sudden, an explosion from the grave. Fire erupts from the grave. And Kane, it's gonna be Kane, emerges from the grave and starts to brawl with the Undertaker. So they're brawling, they're fighting around the grave. Austin, at this point, brings in a bulldozer.
Yeah. And this is where the match just, for me, just
Goes off the
spiraled out of
rails.
fucking
Yeah.
control. I was like, what the hell is going on at this point?
So it spirals out of control. Kane manages to deliver a tombstone onto the Undertaker, rolls him into the grave as Austin positions the bulldozer. There's somebody in the bulldozer that is supposed to that is supposed to seamlessly drop the drop the dirt into the grave.
Because the
and bury
bulldozer
the
comes
Undertaker alive.
in with already some dirt in it, right?
Exactly. Yes. There seems to be a malfunction, however.
Yes. And this man cannot get the bulldozer up because it's like, it's a buried alive match, so it's like on a little hill.
Yeah.
And he can't get the bulldozer
Yeah.
up the hill.
He can't do it. Can't do it. And it malfunctions
And-
forever.
And you can see the Stone Cold just yelling at this poor man.
Yeah.
And he finally gets the bulldozer above where Taker is, but then he can't open the little hatchet to drop the
Can't
dirt.
do that.
And as he's trying to figure this out, you can see Stone Cold grab a shovel and just start fucking
trying to get this over with.
Then it somehow manages to work. They drop some dirt on it. Guess what? Not enough dirt.
No.
So now he has to try to pick up some dirt.
Yes.
And he can't. So
Can't
he's
do
just
that either.
trying to like push the dirt forward. And Stone Cold's trying to help him, pushing the dirt forward. After a while, I think the timekeeper's like, fuck it, he's buried.
Yeah, it's enough. Bury him alive.
Yeah.
We finally have ourselves a winner.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin secures his place in the Royal Rumble.
And he's drinking beers.
Drinking beers.
While you in the background, the guy's still
He's
trying.
still trying to put
Because they
something
have
on.
a spot that they have to do.
Yeah.
So they're like,
We
all
gotta
right,
get through it.
we gotta do it.
God, it was miserable. It was a miserable end to a pretty disappointing main event overall.
Yeah.
The story is fine. It was a
And-
decent match, but nothing to write home
And
about.
coming off of the Mankind, like coming off of back-to-back screwy finishes,
Yes.
and then now we're seeing this poor guy struggle with a fucking bulldozer. It's not the best way to end your pay-per-view.
Not at all. But yeah, it was the second Buried Alive match ever. My goodness. Wow. But that was the show.
Mhm.
I'm very glad that we are doing this round of storyline because it's not just about the Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 15. We know where we're going with that.
Mhm.
But the idea that I really wanted to explore was both of their avenues to get there, because it's not as if they're feuding back and forth for the title up until that point. They meet at WrestleMania. That is the meeting point. So it's exciting to explore both of their pathways to get there.
Yeah, because what I'm liking about this feud is that it starts off with both of them in the title picture at the Survivor Series thing. And then Austin gets screwed out of his title chance, and then The Rock ends up getting the title, so The Rock goes on to all this fame and all this glory and all this shit, and then you kind of see Stone Cold having to deal with Undertaker and, you know, scratch his way back up to the title picture.
Exactly.
So we know we're getting a title match.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're both going in like complete, like it feels almost like they're going in separate directions instead of them going to the same point. So that's really fucking cool.
Because you have The Rock having this perfect perfect foil in Mankind.
Yeah.
It is the perfect opponent for him leading up to WrestleMania. While Austin has to deal with everything. He's got to deal with Undertaker. Soon he's got to deal with McMahon. Soon he's got to deal with the corporation before he ever gets to The Rock. So it's really nice to see.
So you see him like fighting to get his Royal Rumble spot because, you know, unlike The Rock, his path to the title is a bit more shaky.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you know, it's very, very like this is such a cool feud to see because it's like we know where we're ending, but you know, we're like in what we're reviewing, we're like a couple months in.
Yeah.
And they haven't even looked each other in the eye yet.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it's so
right?
dope.
And that's the really cool bit. That's what I've loved about this. And that made me really enjoy this show, Rock Bottom. So without further ado, it is Match of the Night, Standout Star, and the overall show grade. Just John, what do you got for me?
Well, overall show grade, I give it a 3.
A 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that?
Again, screwy finishes. There was nothing that really stood out. The opening match was decent. You know, the Jeff Jarrett stuff. That was more of like no disrespect to them, but that was more like a joke storyline type of thing.
Yes.
You know, then you got The Rock versus Mankind, which was fun, but the ending was also like so. Yeah, just I feel like it's a good 3.
All right,
it's a decent 3 out of 5. Standout star.
Yes,
I would do Mankind. He was hilarious throughout this whole thing.
Gotcha.
And then he puts on a really good match.
Yes, this was really a Mankind show. For as much as it's built on The Rock, Mankind got a ton of segments. He got to shine really good in that WWF title match.
He told Vince to get on his knees, which was also funny.
He did. Yes, he did.
My match of the night, your match that you probably hated the most, Job Squad versus the Brood.
Wow.
I think the only match that had the cleanest of endings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also a fun match. I liked the match. Too Cold Scorpion was amazing in it. Everyone was great in it.
Well, all
and
right.
that was my show ratings. KJ Johnson.
Yes. My match of the night will go to The Rock and Mankind, that WWF title. I liked the story told. I'm a man, as I grow older, I realize that I am a guy that likes the story.
Okay.
I don't necessarily need to have a fantastic match.
Okay.
But if the story is good, if the story is excellent, I am all in no matter what.
You're sucked in by the story.
Yeah. And of course, if I see a great match, it's a great match. Fantastic. Yeah. But my story, I come for the stories.
Yeah.
So The Rock and Mankind really won me over. I was really on the fence about Owen Hart and Steve Blackman as well. I was loving that match, but the finish of that match, the count out, was what put it over the top for me as being like just too damp for me.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. When I'm giving out like match of the night, like I want to give it to these other matches, but it's like I need a clean finish, or at least like something of a clean. Like don't just walk out the ring and be like, yeah, this is the end.
I felt with The Rock and Mankind, we at least had the pass out finish. We had Mankind getting the visual victory, and it was very obviously a screw job. So that for me was like, oh, okay, it sat better than would be a count out or a DQ finish. As my standout star, though, I am giving it to Owen Hart because he had that hero's welcome. He had a great match out of Steve Blackman, in my opinion. And I think that was I love Owen Hart. And
who doesn't?
Yeah.
Right?
And get to see a lot of Owen Hart, but I always feel like I never see enough of Owen Hart. You know? Like I go watch his matches all day.
Because he was like very prominent in the Attitude Era. But like when you like see them recapping it, you hardly of course because of his passing, but I still feel like he should get a little bit more shine when we speak about that time
Certainly.
period. Right?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, Owen Hart gets it for me because he pulled a great match out of Steve Blackman for the most part. As much as The Rock and Mankind had a good story element, Owen Hart impressed me. And the overall show grade for me, I really enjoyed the show. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Fair enough.
A lame finish with the Austin Undertaker, but that was due mainly to malfunction, outside sources. I can't knock it too much.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the story element once I started thinking about it like that.
Yeah. No, you blew my fucking mind with the whole Royal Rumble shit.
Yeah.
Like I've never once, like I've always like, yeah, they're fighting for the spot at the thing, but it never really, it never really dawned on me. Like, yeah, whoever loses is kayfabe dead. So
at least for the moment.
So yeah, thinking about it like that was really fucking cool.
Yes, and the brawling element and doing the big man brawler, little man brawler.
Yeah,
it made for an entertaining time. But the overall show, I had a blast with. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think also too, having watched Raw,
that helped
made me very hyped for the actual show itself. That was what really put it over the top for me.
That was a good go home episode.
It was great,
especially with Austin being crucified, the New Age Outlaw there, like backside. Even though like it didn't play too much of a part with this, but it's setting up the seeds for whatever DX and the corporation are going to be doing in the future.
Exactly. And that is how you do a goddamn go home episode.
Exactly.
Right? Fucking current WWE, current AEW for that matter, take some fucking notes, okay? You want a good go home angle to make me buy the pay-per-view? Fucking crucify MJF.
No, now every go home episode now is basically like, all the people are gonna be tagging now. And
they're gonna be there. Buy the pay-per-view, they're gonna be there. Like, no, give me some stakes, make it personal.
Like, continue telling me the story. Like, it doesn't have to end at the fucking pay-per-view. Like,
and how many plates were spinning? You had the Outlaws, you had Austin and Undertaker, you had Mankind and The Rock, you had like the Jeff Jarrett and Goldust got 2 segments on that show.
And rewatching this show back as well, like the Go Home show, it's about the same time as Raw is now.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a fucking breeze to get through.
Exactly.
Like there's so much stuff going on, but it didn't feel cluttered like AEW does.
Yes.
Where like everyone still got their own intro, everyone was able to do their thing, but it didn't feel boring like modern Raw is.
Jesus, my God.
Like it was the perfect fucking mix. Like everyone got time to shine. Perfect.
And that's what I love about this kind of this time period of the Attitude Era. There's more parts and Attitude Era really goes through an evolution, especially in the year 2000, 2001, where it does change from what 1998, 99 is. And I think 1998 and 1999 are really like, that is your golden period, in my opinion.
I think a lot of people remember it from the late 2000s, not late 2000s, but like mid 2000s.
Because, you have the Hardy Boys, you have Edge and Christian, you have the Dudleys, you have Rock and Triple H. Yeah, it's a bolstered fucking thing. Kurt Angle. But, something about 98, 99.
Because the Attitude Era is a tricky... That's why when you go on social media, you see people going back and forth that it was great, that it wasn't, because it's a very tricky where like the first 2-3 years were gangbusters. It was great programming, and then the last couple years, because it was mixed with the incoming of the PG era, it was kind of like 50-50, and then that middle spot wasn't the greatest. So but if you look at those early years, it's like there's no doubt that that's one of the best eras in wrestling. Like even if you see by the ratings, it's like, I was watching one YouTuber, I forgot his name, and he was telling the story of William Regal and Owen Hart appearing at this gaming award show. And they basically were saying like, the only reason they were there is because the ratings were so fucking high. That like every TV show is just like, who do you have? Who do you have? Let us use them for anything, right?
That's why Austin was on the TV guide. That's why the
Exactly.
merchandise sales, you couldn't keep the shelves,
Exactly.
the shelves full.
Exactly. So that mid era, like, it got a little, they tried to do a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But
exactly. And I
go-
think when WCW was really starting to lose steam, so did the wrestling business as a whole.
Yeah.
Because when WWE was just killing it, yeah, WWE's killing it. You could tune in, you're going to have something great. But the overall dynamic of, like, anything can happen. Anyone can go anywhere.
But then when both
was
shows
nice.
started getting silly and started, like, they tried to do a bit too much. They got a bit too cocky.
Got a bit too big for the britches,
Yep.
and that's what happened. But yeah, that was Rock Bottom. The next stop on the list, we're doing a very slight stopgap before we head to the Royal Rumble 99. What we're doing is the January 4th, 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw. The day that the tide turned in the Monday Night War forever. It was the day that Raw won and never lost again. The title change, spoiler.
Oh, damn, I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, of The Rock and Mankind on Raw. Mankind wins the championship for the very first time.
Yep.
It was a gigantic episode, probably one of the most, or at least one of the most pivotal points in Raw's history, one of the most important Raws we're going to be reviewing about.
Get ready for the tears.
Have you ever watched that episode of Raw?
I've watched the main event of Raw. Yeah, I've never watched that episode.
Well, there is a lot of crap on that episode of Raw. Like, there is some craziness, wild shit. If you thought the go home angle, or the go home show of Rock Bottom was big, Jesus Christ, son. You have no idea what we're getting into.
Oh, I'm hyped.
Yes.
I've remembered watching the match.
Yes.
But never the whole show. So I'm looking forward to see how they set. And never before have I watched the match with
context.
Yes. Right? So this is going to be very, very interesting.
Yes, indeed. So yes, the January 4th Raw, it's going to be so important. So interesting to dig our teeth into that bit. Looking forward to it. But until then, that's next week. But thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of the Colossal Tussle Podcast. Oh yes, you can follow us on Twitter at
Colossal Tussle 1, on YouTube at The Colossal Tussle as well.
Indeed, and now our podcast is growing. You can find us on Spotify, but you can also find us on Stitcher, Amazon Prime, and Audible. Oh, yes, indeed.
And we're working on Apple for all you Apple fans. We are working on Apple. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we get that going.
Certainly. So as we continue to grow, you can follow us on multiple platforms, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever you use most. Share us around. Tell your friends about us if you've enjoyed what we're doing, because we certainly have enjoyed what we're doing, especially this season so far. Yeah, that was a great time. No alcohol required. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be seeing you next week. Until then, we are out.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? The Rock says, The Rock says, The Rock says, The Rock says. The Rock says, know your damn role.